Hello, I'm EG and this is Crocheting with EG. And in this video, I'm going to show something that I crocheted to go underneath my ceramics. And so, because I made this, it's sort of like a runner to go underneath my ceramics. So, because I keep talking about in my videos that I have this shelf here in this room. I know this is my yarn room, but there are some other things in it. And on the shelf here are my ceramics from high school. Or not right now, they're on this table right now. But I do have my ceramics from high school displayed on the shelf here. So it's kind of like this more creative room, but it's being overtaken by all the yarn that I keep getting. But I wanted to crochet something to go underneath my ceramics here, just to have something crochet related on this shelf, and because it was sort of being taken over by some little crochet knickknacks and stuff. But I wanted to crochet something to go underneath my ceramics, also to kind of make sure that they're not going to get knocked off of the shelf, because I am afraid that sometime there have been a couple things that have fallen, and luckily I have carpet in this room, so they didn't break too much. There are a couple things among my ceramics that I need to fix with some super glue sometime. They're just like little tiny things. But I thought, since I made this thing to go underneath my ceramics, I thought this would be sort of the perfect video, a perfect opportunity to do a video about my ceramics, if you're interested in that. If you're not, and you're only here for the crochet stuff, you don't have to watch this. You can see the thing that I made that I'm going to put underneath my ceramics and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't care about the ceramics, then you don't have to watch it. But I'm really proud of my ceramics from high school. I mean, they are from high school. There are some things that, like, even I am shocked that I made this, and it was, God, how long ago was that? I had to do the math in my head. It was like, some of it was almost 25 years ago. So, but shockingly, a lot of this is like, I'm still really proud of this. Some of it is just like, it's really juvenile looking, but some of it I'm still really proud of, even though it was so long ago and stuff. I just really loved ceramics when I was in high school, and so I did want to display them properly in this room before it got overtaken with all this yarn and stuff. And so I do have them displayed really nice on this shelf when they're not on this table to show in a video. But I just thought, I can crochet and I can make something to go underneath there, and because I was making this, I wanted to use the clay colored yarn that I used to make my. I want to reconnect with my ceramics teacher, because she's still doing ceramics and stuff, and she actually sells her ceramics, and I just thought it would be kind of cool to like reconnect with her sometime, because I love ceramics so much. I wanted to do that even after high school, but I did make something after high school with clay, but there's just nothing like the. It's not as solid as like the kind of clay that we used in ceramics class, but that was fired in a kiln and all that kind of stuff. I did make something with air dry clay, but it's just not the same. And so I eventually, that's how I got into moldable plastic, which I'll show you. I did make something with moldable plastic, which I'll show. But I made all kinds of things with moldable plastic. But like, that's why I picked up moldable plastic as a medium, because I had that urge to like form something with my hands the way I did in ceramics class, and I wasn't a fan of like the air dry clay, and I didn't have the money to like buy a kiln or anything. Maybe if I didn't buy so much yarn, I'd have enough money to like buy an industrial size huge kiln like we had in high school. They had like the big vent over that would suck all the heat out because of like how big they were and how hot they get. I probably would be able to afford a kiln if I didn't buy so much yarn. No, but I always wanted to do that even after high school, because I just enjoyed ceramics so much, and so that's how I came across moldable plastic. I wanted to find some medium where I could do the same sort of thing. It's not the same as clay, because with clay you have a long period of time before it gets hard and all that kind of stuff. With moldable plastic, you have to it's a different medium. I'll feature that more in a future video if you're interested in that. If you don't mind this much of a tangent. And then I'll show how to do how to work with the moldable plastic, because it's a really cool medium. But I did make something with moldable plastic, because I wanted to reconnect how. Let me go back to like one of the tangents that I went off on. Hopefully I'll finish all those stories. But I wanted to reconnect with my ceramics teacher sometime to let her know that even though I'm using a different medium, I am still being creative with my hands, and like forming things with my hands the same way that I learned in high school when I was in ceramics class. But it's a different medium, and so I wanted to like use my newfound ability to crochet and like make her a bookmark, because that was I've had this idea for a while. And I did make the bookmark and all that, and I think I showed it my everything I made in my first year of crochet video. and I made the bookmark, and but I didn't make the charm yet or anything, and I hadn't done the tassel for it. And so when I did this, and I knew I was going to make like this ceramics video, I thought I'll go ahead and finish her bookmark. It's still not finished because I wanted to show the charm before I tied it on there, but I did finish her bookmark. And so with that, oh, there's like an echo in here. It's echoing in one of these things that the things that I made in my ear. I can hear like the echo as I'm like talking. It's like, you know, echoing in one of these bottles or whatever. But it's a funny noise. But whatever. And so I wanted to finish her bookmark and everything. And so the yarn that I used to make her bookmark, like the base of it, is a clay colored. God, I feel like I have to sneeze. I dusted all this stuff, and so if I sneeze like 8 times in this video, it's because I was dusting all this stuff. God, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze because of all the dust. But anyway, the yarn I used for the bookmark, like the base of it, is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Low Pill Fiber, and the color was clay. And so I used that to make her bookmark, and so that's what I wanted to use for the runner to go underneath my ceramics. But when I got far into it, I realized I don't have enough, and so what I did was I used some brown on the edges to pad it out, and it's sort of like there's. I'm going to try to do this sort of in order, because like there's I know this video is like all over the place already, God, but I'm going to try to do this in order, but I'll skip ahead to this part. But there was an effect that my first ceramics teacher taught me called sgraffito. You form whatever you want to make, and then you put an underglaze on it before it dries and hardens and stuff. And then you take something and you can carve through that underglaze like into the clay while it's still moldable, and then it gets fired, and then you glaze it on the outside with like a clear glaze, and so it creates this effect where the lines are the clay, like the color of the clay showing, and then that dark brown is like the underglaze, and then it has like a clear glaze on the outside. And so because of that, because I have a lot of this stuff, because like I'm one of these people that if I discover a new medium, or if I discover a new way of doing something, I like do it over and over and over. And so I did that sgraffito effect on a lot of stuff when she taught us how to do that, and because it is a really neat effect. And so because of that, where it's like the clay color and then the dark brown, like the dark underglaze, I thought I'll use the clay. I'll use up the rest of that skein of the clay yarn, and then on the edges I'll use like a dark brown to kind of like mimic. They're not exactly the same colors, but kind of mimic that effect. So it kind of matches, because the sgraffito stuff is like on the top shelf. There was a couple things underneath in some of these other shelves, but like the main sgraffito stuff was on the top shelf, and so I thought I'll do that for the runner from the top of the shelf. And so this is the runner that I made. And it's just like this, you know, brown color. And what I did was just to make sure that this doesn't slide, because like I wanted to put something underneath my ceramics to make sure that it would be more difficult for things to be knocked off. But then I was thinking, I'm putting like this slick, like a crocheted thing underneath it, and so I got that stuff out that I was going to put on that rug if I needed to put it on the underside of that rug that I made, you know, that Uber Luxe rug, and that stuff that I got from Dollar Tree. It was like for shelf liners or something, non-slip shelf liner. That's you know, was $1.25 a roll. You know, Dollar Tree. And so but it was like that shelf liner stuff, so I did cut a piece off. I just hot glued it on like the corners and stuff, and a couple of little dots, because I didn't want it to be like completely adhered to the bottom. But so this is the runner, and so this is the clay colored yarn, and then this brown here is as close as I could get to the dark brown here. Like I think the dark brown I'm gonna get clay and crochet mixed up in this video so many times, but I think the brown yarn matches the brown in this better than the clay colored yarn does. But the brown yarn I used I love this yarn in the colorway cinnamon, and so it's like this brown color. So that's what I used for the brown. So I just added the brown on both sides, and so it's going to be like this underneath my ceramics on the top. And so it's going to go from like corner to corner. Like this is how big that the top of that shelf is. And so I'm just going to put that underneath there, and then put my ceramics there. So I did make this with crochet, and so I'll show the bookmark too, and then I'll get into the ceramics and all that kind of stuff if you're interested in that. I am really proud of this stuff. But I had already made the base of the bookmark, and I had the embroidery floss or whatever, cross-stitching thread. But I hadn't done the tassel yet, and so I had already bought that. I bought some that was like 2 shades of brown to kind of match the whole clay aspect of it. And so this is like just a standard bookmark, you know, like just a plain bookmark. And then I did the tassel last night. These beads I used are just ones that I had gotten at Walmart, and I think it was like that big round thing that I've showed in the previous video, where it had a whole bunch of like different colored beads in it, and one bag or one section of it was like the golds and browns and stuff. And so I used these. I mean, I wish I had like, you know, clay beads or whatever, but I just think this matches better. I could have gotten like some wooden beads that would probably match better, but I just think this looks nice. It's kind of like a goldish brown, and it kind of matches, sort of like a bronze color. And then the tassel is 2 shades, like a clay color. I'm going to keep bumping this table. I'm going to feel so much better when all this stuff is back on the shelf, because I'm afraid I'm going to knock all this stuff. I'm such a clumsy person, and I keep like dropping stuff and banging things. I need to be leery. But and so there's like a darker shade and a lighter shade of like that embroidery floss or whatever to make the tassel. So I did do the tassel last night, and so the charm is going to go. I'm going to hang it off of this part of the tassel, and I'll show that once I get to the thing that I made. Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to show that I'm still making things with my hands. You know, show my ceramic. God, stuttering. Because I wanted to show my ceramics teacher that I still, you know, form things with my hands, and so I wanted to actually make the charm, and I wanted the charm to be sort of like a mini representation of like one of the big things from her class, and one of the things that she had everybody do, and she still teaches and stuff, just not in like schools and stuff, not the way she did in high school or whatever, where it's like a full year or whatever, but she does teach ceramics classes, and she still does this, and one of the big projects is like you make a tree, like a hollow tree, like the trunk, and so I thought it'd be kind of cool to like take the tree and then kind of make a little mini representation of it with the moldable plastic, and hang it off of there, and like have that be the charm. And so I'll get to that once I get to the tree and everything, but I'll start with like the ceramics. So I'll go through this and kind of explain like some of the things and like any little stories that I have and all that, and then if you're interested in seeing all this stuff, you can, and then I'll at the end I'll show what all my ceramics look like on my shelf, and once I put the runner down and all that. But I'll show that at the very end and everything after I show my ceramics. So anyway, so I took ceramics in high school. I took it in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, I think. I think it was like ceramics A, B, and C. And so the ceramics teacher that I want to reconnect with is the one I had in 10th and 11th grade. And then it was her last year there, and because she was moving or whatever. And so then in ceramics C, which was my senior year, I got another teacher and stuff, and it wasn't as fun with her, and she didn't like the concept of glazing, and she preferred us to actually paint our like, I mean, they're nicer or whatever, but it was just like a whole different experience. It was like the vibe was different, and I didn't enjoy ceramics as much, even though I did have some really creative projects and stuff and really nice things come out of that year. But I really loved my first ceramics teacher and stuff, and like I remember, I think it was in middle school. I remember them like shuttling us over to the high school, and then us like taking this tour of like going into some of the vocational classes, or like the classes that aren't like the, you know, math, science, all that kind of. I remember being shuttled over there or something, and then us taking this tour, and like I vividly remember, like, I don't remember going to any of the other classes, but I vividly remember, I'm sure they took us to all like the science classes and like the different science labs and all the different kinds of like electives, and I'm sure they took us to like a big tour, but like the only one I remember going into was that ceramics class, and it's the one I ended up taking, and not in 9th grade, but I took it in 10th grade, but I vividly remember that, and so it kind of stuck with me, and because I've always been like a creative person doing all kinds of ridiculously creative things, but when I was thinking about ceramics and like, because I never really thought that I would be I'm not saying this to be like really, no, I'm really talented in ceramics. I'm not doing this to say like that, like some narcissistic prick, but I never, like, I knew I was a creative. I'm a writer and stuff, and I knew I've done creative things my whole life, but like I never really expected to be as creative in something like ceramics, like, 'cause I never really thought of that. And so it's another aspect of like the way I think of like creativity and the way like if you're a creative person, I just think that people that are creative, we're sort of inherently creative. We're kind of like chameleons. I've said this in a previous video, but I feel like creative people are just inherently creative, and we can like. We're sort of chameleons like that, where like I think of myself as a writer, but like I never thought I would get into crochet, or I never thought I would get into graphic design the way I did when I got a computer, or like do all of the other creative things. It just feels like if you're an inherently creative person, it just feels like we have this ability to, no matter what it is, we have a way of like somebody gives you a ball of clay, and then you think, oh, I'm a writer and stuff. I'm a little creative or whatever, but like and then it turns into all this. It's like I just feel like if we are given another medium, if we try something else creative, I just feel like we have this ability to for the most part be successful in any kind of creative thing. I just feel like that. I mean, that like I know you want me to just get to the ceramics, but I'm just sort of starting off this intro. But like I've said, I can draw, and I recognize the ability that I can draw. Like I've drawn some pencil portraits of people, and I've showed a couple in a couple videos, and I recognize that I have the ability to draw, but I've just never really nurtured it the way that I should. But I just feel like if I did nurture that, if I didn't have all these other creative interests, I feel like I would be a really good artist. I could like physically draw things, because like when I took computer art, we had to draw by hand first, and I recognized that I actually do have an ability to draw, and like that was just sort of like a surprise. There have been many things in my life where I think of my creativity as sort of this narrow thing, but I feel like our creativity is this huge spectrum, and you never know what you're going to be talented at. So just don't close off your mind and think that you're only creative in one thing. Try to use your creativity in other ways, because you're going to surprise yourself at like what you're talented at. Like I never thought I would end up with all these ceramics and stuff. But anyway, so wherever the hell I am in the story. So I went to high school or whatever, and then I got into ceramics, and I really loved it. And it was just like getting to experience another part of my creativity that I never really thought that was part of me. I never thought I would be like hand forming things and making things like from clay. But it was so much fun. And so some of the stuff that we made are just like the very basic things. The very first thing I made, I even put a 1 on the bottom. I like sign my name on the bottom. I do write my name. There are a couple of things I wrote, like every single part of my name, and all kinds of. I design logos for myself. There's all kinds of that stuff on some of this. But one of the really sad things is like when I'm going through Goodwill and I see like people's ceramics from high school, I almost want to like buy that stuff to kind of like rescue it, because it's like somebody's creative thing. I mean, maybe they don't give a crap about it anymore, but like it kind of upsets me to see like something handmade and then seeing their name carved at the bottom and thinking, oh, it just ended up at Goodwill. It's kind of sad. But this is like the first thing that I made. I even put like a little 1 on the bottom. This is a little pinch pot, and because you take the ball of clay and then you just like pinch it into the shape of a little tiny dish or whatever, and I made it green. We got to like forming it into the piece, and then it would dry, and then she put it in the kiln, and then it would get all hard or whatever, and then we'd glaze it, and then she'd fire it again. And it's weird. Me and smells, God, it's so weird. But I remember the smell of that kiln. I love the smell of like the kiln, like when we come in there in the mornings or whatever, and like just the smell, like you could smell how the kiln was firing or whatever, and it was always like extra warm in there on kiln day, because of like, I mean, even that thing, it was like it was sucking the heat out, but it, like just like the residual heat from that kiln. I love ceramics. It was just like I was thinking about this. We always had like it was called a slip jar, and I was thinking about I used to think about that when I heard about like a slip stitch when I learned about crochet. When I heard that word slip, I was just thinking about like that. It was like a little jar that if there was like some extra clay or whatever, we throw it in the jar, and then you'd mix it with water, which is almost like the glue that you'd use if you wanted to like attach pieces to another piece. But what I just thought about that, it was just like a random thing. There's the word slip. But anyway, so this is like my very first pinch pot, and it was just like this green color. And so I have that one, and then this is my second little pinch pot. I made the same color or whatever, but one of those little pinch pot things. And then the next thing we made was a footed pot, where you take the pinch pot and then you attach to the bottom like a little coil. Like, you know, you score the clay, and then you add a coil there, like with a little bit of slip or whatever. And then you kind of pinch that to make a little foot on the bottom of it. And this is one of my favorite things that I ever did, and it was sort of an accident too. So this is the little footed pot thing, and it's really cool. And it's sort of like a teal blue too, but whatever. But the really cool thing about this is the inside, and hopefully I can capture that on camera. The inside, it's just really cool. It almost reminds you of like when oil sort of splits in a puddle or whatever. It's just like this really cool effect. And I vividly remember my teacher, after this was fired, she was looking at it and she said, she came over and said, "What did you do to this? How did you do that?" And what I remember is there were all kinds of, like when you would glaze something after it was fired, you would put the glaze on it and stuff, and you wouldn't know how the color would turn out until you until it came out of the kiln after its second firing. And so it was just like sort of these kind of like plain looking glazes or whatever, and you'd put it on, and then as it was firing, it would you know, create the really cool colors. And so what I did was I just used like a whole bunch of different glazes. Just like I just kind of like put on the inside, and then like, you know, some blue and maybe some green, or I just like put a whole bunch of glazes on the inside, just like, you know, layers of glaze, and somehow they kind of like they formed the color and separated and really created this really cool, almost like a leopard print or cheetah print. But it's kind of like teal blue with a little bit of gold, or like it's just like this really cool effect, and I have no idea how it happened, but it was just like whatever glazes I used, just like they formed, and then they kind of separated and created that really cool. I don't know how I did it, but it was just really cool. It was a complete accident, and so but she was just fascinated that how it turned out, and I wish I knew how I did that bit, but if I would have remembered what glazes I used, I would have like done this on all kinds of things. But this is one of my favorite things that I made, and it was a total accident. But it has like the little foot on it. So it was like I made a pinch pot, and then I added a little foot on the bottom of it. After that, I made a coil pot. I know this is the third thing I made, because you'll see at the very end of this video if you stay tuned. I made a coil pot, and where you start off with like the base, and then we would take like roll clay into like these big logs, and then we would you know, attach it, and then as we would build it up, we would smooth out the inside and like smooth out the edges. And so this is just made up of like not a coil like when you make a really long piece and then just kind of coil it around like this, like a snake, but it would just be like these little pieces, and then you put it there, and then you kind of smooth it out, and then another piece, and you kind of smooth it out. And I like to build it up, and I made this little I guess a flower pot or something. I don't know what you call it. It's black or whatever, because I love black. But a really cool little like coil pot. And so that was something I made. And this is another coil pot I made. I don't know what the design on this is, but I did put a triquetra on the front of it, because like I said in another video, my friend and I used to love Charmed, and hopefully you can see that. But it has the triquetra from Charmed on it, so that was a really cool little pot thing that I made. Made it like a coil pot. So there's that. And I made this interesting little coil pot. This isn't in any order. Those first 3 or 4 technically are in order, but like from this point on, it's just like a bunch of random stuff. But like all my videos are. But this is just a little footed pot. And so I just add all these like design elements to it, all these like lines, or like what I don't know. I just made this little footed pot thing. It's black, and so I made that, and so it's kind of an interesting thing. And then we learned that sgraffito effect or whatever. And so what these are a little, like a little tea set. And I put like everybody's name on it, but I'm not going to show all their names. But I made a little set. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my mom and dad and me and my sister and my brother. And so I made like, and they're all like different sizes. And so like my dad's is like this, and then my brother's is like this. And so this is like my dad's size, and then my brother. We didn't actually use these, but you know, it's like these little teacups or whatever. And the inside is that, you know, sgraffito effect, like this. And it has the names carved on the side or whatever, and so it's kind of like that. And I put the brown on the edges, and then you can see that's the actual clay color coming through there. And so I just made all these little cups, and so like one for my sister and mom, and dad and brother and me. So like the little tea set or whatever. And to go with the cups, I made the teapot. And so this is a little teapot that I made. And I did a little sgraffito thing on the little lid. And then it has like, you know, our last name and family. So like a little family teapot. And I'm sure I could probably use this if I actually glaze it enough on the inside, but I would never use it. But it's just like this adorable little teapot that's, you know, sgraffito. And it has like the spout and everything that, where the water can come through. And so I made a little teapot to go with the little teacups. And then we had to do this thing, I guess you'd call them tiles. We had to do tiles. And so because we had to do tiles, I wanted to do some little saucers to go with the little cup. And so I did the little tiles like this. I don't have to explain what all these little logos and stuff mean, but whatever. It doesn't matter. But I took all these little pieces of clay and I made these little tiles. This is like one of my original logos. I used to brand myself even back then, before I, you know, knew who I was as a creative person completely. But I did all these little like signatures and logos and stuff on all these little tiles. And you had to make sure to carve this in the bottom, because otherwise it would be too thick and explode. There's a couple things that I've made that are like thick that it's a wonder didn't explode in the kiln. Because when you make something in with clay and you fire it, you got to make sure that there's not like some hollow area in there that's closed off, because the heat will make it explode. And you got to make sure that the clay isn't really thick either, because it'll explode too. So we had to carve like these little grooves in the bottom of them to make sure that they didn't explode, or, you know, so they would like lay flat in the kiln. And all these like different tiles. And so I made like 5 little tiles. And some of this stuff has my friend and I came up with this code to write each other in, and some of the letters are like, you know, around the edge of that, and on one of these other things. So I have these little coaster things, these little tile coasters, and this is one of my pinch pots or whatever. This is more decorative, and I use the sgraffito effect, and it has all the like the letters and the code that my friend and I came up with, and so it's kind of carved in there. So it's a really cool, interesting little. It looks like something from, you know, like ancient Egypt or whatever that was found in a pyramid or something. But it's just my friend and I's ridiculous code that we used to write to each other in, whatever. And so one of those, and then I had this little box thing, and it's kind of sgraffito too, except I used a black underglaze instead of brown. And so it's this like little box thing, and it has a little lid, and I created this pattern on the top of it. So that's kind of interesting. And it has all my little, you know, signature branded logo things or whatever all around the edge of it. And so it's just like a little square box. And then I did use sgraffito. I guess I used sgraffito in this too, because I don't know the sequence of this. But I guess I did use, because it has like a groove in it. You could feel like the groove, unless I did use like black glaze and glaze the lines. I can't remember if this was sgraffito, if I just, you know, did that later when I was glazing it. But I did use sgraffito in this, or at least, or I guess I just carved it into the clay. But I put my signature on it, and my old logo, my personal logo. I mean, I didn't even have like I guess I did have a computer, but I didn't even have like a website but I was like, you know, coming up with my brand even back then. But I made this little mug, and so it has like, you know, blue glaze and a really cute little mug. I've never used it, of course, but I probably could, because I did glaze all the inside of it. But I'm a little mug, so it's kind of cool. And I think the only other sgraffito thing I did, I guess I'm saying that right, what I remember, I think it was called sgraffito. But the other thing, and I feel like I've showed this in a video like a long time ago, was, and since then the little antennas broke off. It pissed me off. Luckily it didn't like break the whole neck of this snail off, but I still have the little pieces. I'm gonna have to get some super glue to glue the little antenna back on. But I made a little snail, and what it is it's a whistle, and so it has like the bottom here. We put a popsicle stick in here, and then we like formed it around here, and we had to cut into that at a certain angle, so that, and then when we pulled the popsicle stick out, you could blow into it and it creates a whistle, and, you know, of course it's hollow inside. And so this is what it sounds like. So it's an actual whistle you blow into its ass. Like, of course, I would, you know, come up with that, but it was like a little snail. And so like that's what the shell of the snail looks like, you know, that cool spiral or whatever. And so I made that little sgraffito snail. My niece had so much fun, and we had a lot of fun. My niece blowing into this all the time when she was a little kid. She does love all of my ceramics. And then later on, when I made a mask, and I'll show it once I get to that period in my ceramics. I made a mask, and what was cool is it actually fit her face. Also made this, and for some reason the glaze didn't form right on some of these sides, but I guess it's just like a little like flower pot kind of thing. I don't know what like the exact. There were times where I would finish the assigned project. She'd say like, okay, create some tiles, and so then I would make some tiles, and then if because I was faster than some of the other people, and there were times with both teachers where I would finish the project that was assigned, and then she'd be like, okay, well just you know, make something, and just, you know, have fun, you know, making something, you know, whatever you want to make. And so there were a couple things where I would just make like a random thing, and so I don't know if this was like something that she assigned or what, but I feel like this might have been where we were learning how to we used a slab roller. It's a thing where you throw clay on it, and then you put this like, you know, canvas stuff on it, and then you like roll it and like flatten it out, and it'll create like this long sheet of clay, and we would form it into these long sheets, and then we'd have to cut them out. And I feel like this was an assignment where we took like the pieces of clay and tried to form it into something. And so I made this like I guess it could be a little flower pot, or I made a little flower vase kind of thing. But like, I don't know why the glaze messed up on some of these sides, but this side's pretty nice. But it's just like this blue vase kind of thing. And then when we were making the tiles, we had to make actual like big square tiles. And so I made a couple of those. This is one that I made, just like just a random weird design. I don't know what it's supposed to mean. And see how I had to carve out the grooves on the bottom to make sure that it wasn't like, because these are really thick, to make sure that it wouldn't explode in the kiln or whatever. So that's just like an interesting little design on that one. And on this one, it's a wonder this one didn't explode. I mean, this is like really heavy. It's just like I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be like almost like a face and like a sun, or like I was just like. This is what happens when my creativity is like, you know, just runs wild. I don't know what the hell it's supposed to be, but it's just like a face and like a looks like a like I tried to draw a sun and a panda, and it just like, you know, they kind of merged in the kiln. Like I don't know, it's a little panda-esque. It's a little sun. Like I don't know. It's just a little odd. So it's just like this, you know, random tile thing that I made. It's really heavy though. God. Like if I'd ever dropped this, it probably wouldn't shatter at all. It's because it's so, you know, solid. And then another tile I made was I'm sure this is like something that where I made the tiles, and then while everybody else was making their tiles, she just said you know just make something else. And so I made a tile that to represent 9/11, because 9/11 happened when I was in, I think, 11th grade, and when it first happened, I created this image, and I'll put like, you know, screenshots or whatever on the screen. I sort of already showed it in another video, but not the different versions of it. But I made it 9/11 remembrance image, and actually got into a couple newspapers just because I knew the editor, but whatever. And so the first image was it was like the American flag, and then I had these two bars in the front to represent the Twin Towers, and I had like the stars on them, like, so they were the blue of the American flag. And so I made that image. But then as the years went on, I wanted to revisit it, and I thought I just sort of had the Twin Towers there. I didn't have anything to represent the Pentagon, and so I put it in like a pentagon, and then there was like another version of my image. And then years later, I was thinking, like, I should incorporate a plane. I mean, I know that like the last thing you want to think about when you think of 9/11 is a plane, but I was thinking that there were victims on those planes, and so I created an image that's like sort of like the final image of like the Twin Towers in the Pentagon, and then have like a plane in the image, like, and sort of in an upward movement to show, like, you know, going up to the heavens or wherever you believe that the souls go after they die. And so I wanted to, so like the image now represents like the people, the victims in the Twin Towers and the Pentagon and the people that were on the planes. And so that's like the final image. But but this was before I came up with the final image. But I did this, and this was, I actually wrote on it, or I carved it, made May 21st, 2002. And so I made this thing. It's just a tile, but it's shaped like a pentagon, and it's just all black. The only thing. When you paint with actual paint, you can get like more vivid colors, and that's one of the drawbacks of using glazes with the ceramics, is you don't get as many choices for like really vivid colors. But at the same time, you get a better. I like the look of the glazed stuff. I do love the more vivid colors in like the paint, like the painted stuff. But I like the look of glazed stuff better. But I just made it all black, probably, you know, because of like mourning the people that died. And so I did this this tile for remembering 9/11, and so like it's in the shape of a pentagon, and then it has like it's like the American flag in the background, and it has like the Twin Towers, and it has like, you know, God bless America and New York, and you know, it's supposed to look like New York, and then like a headstone with RIP on it, and that's supposed to be like a fireman's hat or whatever. It's not very detailed or whatever. And then these are supposed to be like tears and stuff, but it's just like this tile that I made to represent, you know, remembering 9/11, because that happened when I was in high school, and so I made that tile. And then we had to do the potter's wheel, and I hated the potter's wheel because I sucked at it. I don't hate a potter's wheel. I love the stuff. I love the look of things made on a potter's wheel, but I hated it because I sucked at it. Yeah, I'm more like a hands-on creative person. But I wasn't successful at the potter's wheel at all. It was just so hard for me. I don't know why. It was just, I hated using that potter's wheel. And so the things that I made, I did make a couple things on it, but they kind of suck. I mean, they really do. And so this was the first thing I made, and it's a wonder this didn't explode in the kiln, because the base of this is so freaking thick. It's a wonder it didn't explode. Just like a regular little, like, you know, dish thing, and I just glazed it blue. But the bottom of this is like so thick. I mean, God. I don't know, it's just like a little thing. And then like this is the worst one. See, like I really sucked at that potter's wheel. I mean, I really did. And like the glazing on this, I mean, I don't know. It looks like I tried to glaze it like a light blue, but I didn't use enough glaze on it or something, and because the blue barely comes out on the little thing. But it's all warped and messed up, and it's too thin up here, and like I sucked at the potter's wheel. God, this one turned out really nice, like the shape of it. Although it has that weird like blue faded glaze on it. I don't know, like the glaze. I'm happy with the shape of this, but the glazing on this kind of sucks. I don't know why it turned out like that. I must not have used as much light blue glaze as I should have, or whatever. But and then I made these things. They're like way too short or whatever. I probably thought, okay, there's a lip on it, I'm done. Like, because I hated it so much. So this is like one of the things I made. It's just like this little tiny, like a really shallow dish. And so there's that one. It's kind of like a dark teal blue in there. The color's nice on these. And then this one, which is, I mean, if you look at it, it's kind of warped too. It's not really very even. But I did make another little dish. But I wasn't crazy about the potter's wheel at all. And the only other two things I made with my first ceramics teacher are like my favorite things. I don't think these were the last things that I made, but I will show this. I've showed this in another video, I know, because I remember. But I made a videotape, and because, you know, I like I said, it's not an exaggeration that I've been obsessed with television and movies my entire life. To like go into ceramics class and then have like, okay, just, you know, make something with clay, and then I make a freaking videotape. Like I was in high school, and you know, I'm sure most people have like something really creative, or where I like made a videotape because I'm like so obsessed with television and movies. But I made this. It's a rattle. We had to make a rattle of some kind. You know, what it is you made something with clay, and then before you close it up, you had to make sure you poked a hole in whatever you made, because you had to it would explode if you didn't. But you had to make a rattle, and so you would before you would seal up whatever it is, you put like little tiny balls of clay in there, and where they wouldn't stick. You didn't want them to like stick to the inside, and so that when you shook it, it would be like a rattle. And so this is the rattle that I made, and I made it look like a videotape. I actually took a videotape into like a VCR tape, into VHS tape, into school, and like tried to make it look exactly like a videotape, taking my tools and a pen and like all this, and like making the little divots in it and little lines and grooves and stuff. And I mean, it really does. See, this is like an actual videotape, and then this is what it looks like. And so I mean, it looks perfect. I mean, it's insane. Like even the tape, the actual like tape in it, where it looks like that. And then like the back of it, you can see like these, and so I made that part, and like you can see, hopefully I can shine the light on it, where you can see like the lines, how I have it's like you can see all the little lines in it to mimic the lines on the tape and all the little grooves and stuff, and like even the sides, or like that was a little button that you could push on a tape to open up the top of it, and then a little button over here that where you could check it if the tape gets messed up, and like, I mean, it really does look like a freaking videotape. And so this is like my favorite project that I did, and it's called Broken Video. I actually named it because I'm such a ridiculous person, but I named it Broken Video because it's like it's broken inside because it like rattles, but it's supposed to. It's a rattle. And so I made that, and then my tree, which I'll finally get to show the little thing that I made out of moldable plastic. But this is my tree, and so we had to make like a tree, like a hollow tree, like a tree trunk, and so she just kind of walked us through it. We would roll some clay out on one of those on that slab roller, and then like kind of formed it into the shape of the tree, and then got to like design it however we want and paint it however we wanted, and create the little limbs and stuff coming off of it, and the roots and stuff. It was just kind of like she showed us a process of how to do it, and then just said, okay, now just make a tree. And so this is the one I came up with, and it has like a hole in the front of it too, and it has all these limbs coming off, and the way I created the bark textures, I just took one of the tools and it's kind of like went like this and made all these little notches like all over it and stuff, and so it created like a really cool texture on it to make the bark, and it has like all these roots and stuff, which hopefully you can see. And then after it was fired, then I glazed it, and I used different shades of brown, so it would kind of mix. And if you can kind of see the color differences on the inside better, where there's like different browns mixed with each other, and then the base of it's green, because of like the grass or whatever. And so I made a really cool tree. And so this is what I wanted to recreate with moldable plastic. The thing with that moldable plastic is it's kind of hard to make small things with a lot of detail. And so, but I think this turned out really nice, considering this is made out of moldable plastic. And so this is what I made. This is going to be the charm for her bookmark. And so I almost want to keep this. I love this so much. No, I'm not going to keep this, but because I want her to see that I'm still making things with moldable plastic. But I'm so proud of this. I'm really this is like the most adorable thing. I love this so much. It's really cool, but it's like this little tiny charm that looks like a little tree. I mean it's so freaking cool, like adorable. God. And so I'll put in shots of, like, cause I wanted to film a little shot of like what it looked like without paint on it. And so I made it with like the moldable plastic. And then what I do when I paint things with the moldable plastic, I paint it black first, and then I add the color. And so I paint it black, and then I use different shades of brown on it, and I use like a darker brown as the base, and then I put like some lighter brown on top of the darker brown, and then I put some green on the bottom. And anytime you paint the moldable plastic, is you have to kind of be careful because it doesn't adhere, the paint doesn't adhere to, because it's plastic. The paint will actually rub off. And so what I like to do is I use glue wall. This isn't permanent. Like if I drop this in water, it would probably make the glue wall reactivate, and it would ruin the paint. I'm sure you could use like some kind of sealant or whatever that would be permanent, but I don't like to use that stuff because of like fumes and all that kind of stuff. But so I just use like glue wall, and she's not gonna like be unless she reads a book with her bookmark in the bathtub and like accidentally drops in the bathtub, it would ruin it. But she's not gonna get this wet or anything. But but I usually use glue wall to like seal the paint. Like anytime I paint anything made up of moldable plastic, I always seal it with glue wall just to make sure, because like glue wall is kind of like an extra strong school glue. But you just have to kind of be careful once you paint something that's made out of moldable plastic, because the surface is so shiny and slick or whatever, it will rub off. And so you may have to like reapply areas and stuff. But so I painted it, and then I sealed it with the glue and stuff in different stages, and so that's what the little tree looks like. Hopefully you can see it. Hopefully it's not blurry. So it's got like the hole in it, and added a couple roots to the back. Just like this adorable little thing. And if I didn't get that shot right, I'll put a little insert shot in here of it, you know, close up or whatever. But I just think it turned out really perfect. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the piece of that embroidery floss or whatever, and I'm going to add it to. I'm going to leave it a little looser than I normally do. Because I want her to be able to see like the whole tree. And so I'm going to attach it to this part of the tassel up here, and kind of have it hanging just a little. I'm not going to have it like all the way up to I'm not going to have it like all the way up there, because I don't want it to be too close to that, but I want it to be just like a little loose, kind of like this. Sort of hanging just a little bit, so that she can see like the entire tree and the hole and everything. So I'm just gonna have it hanging up there. Like it's gonna look utterly ridiculous, but I think she'll really like it, because it's gonna be, you know, clay colored, and it's gonna have like a little representation of like, you know, one of the projects that, you know, I love and remember the most, but also one that she still does with the people that she teaches, you know, ceramics to. And so it's just like, you know, one of her iconic things that she does with the people that she teaches. And so I thought it'd be kind of cool for her to, you know, have that. It's a representation of like, you know, I'm still creative and I'm still doing things with my hands and stuff, but you know, I use a different medium. And so I think she'll really love that, and because I really love it. I don't want to give it to her. No, I do want to. I want her to have it, but I can always make me another one. But I'm just really proud of this little this tree. I mean, it really does look like it. I mean, it's not exact because I didn't have enough room to do as many of the roots as that. But it's just like a little teeny tiny tree, like it was put in a shrinking machine. Wink. You'll know what that means in the future. But whatever. But it has like just, you know, two little things coming off, and it's not exact, but you know, it's just like enough to represent that. And so the way I did it was, I took a piece of the moldable plastic, and I'll show this in a future video how it works. But it's really cool. But you have to melt it in boiling water, and you can remelt it with like putting it back in the boiling water, or if you want to add details, you can use a heat gun. But you have to be really careful, because this moldable plastic does get hot. But I put it on the end of a marker, just to like kind of form it into the shape here, and then I would take pieces of the plastic and kind of like pull it out and kind of twist it to make the little branches coming off, and then I did the same thing out at the bottom to make the little roots, and then I took a piece of moldable plastic and like flattened it out, and then I like once the tree part was done, I dipped that in the boiling water just like for a second, just enough to, you know, very gently melt the bottom, and then I adhered it to the bottom of the base, and so I made the little charm, and it's just like, it's so adorable. I just love it. And I love that moldable plastic, and so this is the brand that I use. I've showed it in another video, and I was going to show the little they have a little tub at Hobby Lobby. It's in the aisle in my store. It's in my store, and in the aisle where they have like all this like metal stuff, or like where the wood stuff, sort of look down those aisles, or where they have the clay and where they have like the molds and all that kind of stuff. They have like a little tiny tub of that moldable plastic, but the kind I use, I still need to use that kind to make sure that it's going to work the same way as this polyplastic. So this is the brand that I use, Polyplastics. I buy these huge bags. These bags are expensive. They're like $70, but like I said, I've only bought like maybe 3 of these in the entire time, and I've made all kinds of things with the moldable plastic. It's a really cool medium, not only to there's more ceramics in this video, by the way, but that's like my first teacher. I've not only made like creative things with this moldable plastic, but it's a really cool medium to actually use for functional things too. Like my back door, the screen door messed up, like the little latch or whatever, and I actually fixed that with moldable plastic. I made the hook that my yarn is hanging off of with moldable plastic. plastic, and there's a lot of like functional things that I've used moldable plastic for too. But it's just a really cool medium, and if you mess up, you can just remelt it. So it's not like with clay where you make something and if you fire it and it messes up, you just have like a bunch of like hard clay. I'm sure you could do something with that, but like with this, if you make something and you form it into something, you have to work quicker though, because it does harden up really quickly, or harden back up really quickly. If you mess up and you think, oh, I made this, but it kind of sucks, you can just remelt it like over and over and over again. So it's a really cool medium, even though it's expensive. But you can find the little tubs in Hobby Lobby, and they're worth it if it does melt the same way that this does. But it's the same material, so it should. But anyway, let me get back to the rest of the ceramics. So my teacher left. It was like really sad that she moved on to wherever she moved to and all that kind of stuff. But and then we had another teacher come on, and it just wasn't the same, because the vibe was different and her method was different, and it wasn't. I adored my first ceramics teacher. She was so sweet, and I just loved her. And so but I did make some really interesting things with that second teacher and stuff. She didn't like the she would of course fire the stuff in the kiln, but she didn't like glazing, like firing with the glaze. She told us she wanted us to paint the things, and yeah, it looks nicer, like more vivid colors, but it doesn't have that, this just feels like there's like a finish about these, like just the glossiness and stuff, and just the way these just feel kind of done. And then the other ones, they just sort of feel like they were painted, but it feels like they need some kind of like clear coating on it, or there's just something about it where it's not as nice as the other stuff. But I mean, it's really cool. I'm so proud of the stuff that I made in her class. But one of the things I made, it's like this series of things, is I don't know if this was like a project that she assigned, or if it was one of those things where, because like by the time it got to that class, I really was sort of ahead in the class, and I would finish the assigned project, and then I would have time to do like other things. And so I can't remember if she told us to do this or not, but I made these like awards. Like they look like little like the little awards you get from school, but I made these little awards, and so one of them says mom, and then one says dad, and the other says my brother's name. And so I don't know why I made these like awards. Like I was going to get, I don't know if I actually presented them to them as awards or not. I don't know, but whatever. I made these like a little tiny, like these little gold awards. And so it has like the base on it, and it has like my mom, or it says mom, and then like a gold cup, and then I attached a little flower to hers, like a little rose, and I painted it. And so it's an adorable little award for what? Like for being the best mom, for being the best dad, for being the coolest little brother. I don't know. I don't know what the award would be for, but I just like this little like honorary cup thing, or I don't know. But I made my mom's, and hers has a flower on it, and my dad's has a hammer on it. An adorable little hammer. I am really proud of that little hammer. It's really cool. But anyway, his has a hammer on it, and then my brother's has like a little tire on it with his initial, because my dad worked in a tire business where he'd change people's tires and stuff, and but my brother was like the spitting image of my dad, and so he always loved like race cars and trucks, and like my brother just loved cars too, exactly like my dad. And so I put a tire on my brother's, even though I probably should have put it on my dad's, but I put it on my brother's, and so it's like this tire, supposed to represent a tire with his initial on it. And so when I did that for my brothers, I guess I just thought, well, I'll put a hammer on my dad's, because he had all kinds of tools and stuff. And but it's not like he was a builder or anything. He did build our porch when it was falling apart or whatever. What's funny is like driving by that house. I wish we still had that house. One day I'm going to buy that house back, because nobody's living in it. But the porch that's on that house, every time I drive by it, I was like, that's my dad built that porch. So he did build things. He mainly worked changing people's tires and stuff. So those are like the awards or whatever for them. And that mask, I'll show that mask. It's really cool. Yeah, move this thing. But this is the mask. And this was an assignment, because she gave us like like a form, or like one of those like plastic face things. I think I've seen that same kind of thing in Hobby Lobby, or I did years ago. And so we had like the face form. It was kind of like it's like we were using the surface of like a mold of a face. And so we would put the clay on the top of the face, and we had to make a mask. So I made the mask, and then I decorated with all kinds of like embellishments or whatever. And so this is the mask that I made. I don't know. I was just like extra creative. I don't know why I did that. Like little stars and little thing. It's really creative and has like red and blue and gold, and I don't know. But it doesn't fit my big fat face or whatever. But it was the coolest thing. When my niece was growing up, I had my ceramics displayed, and then I put them away for a while, and then when she got a little older, I dug them out. I didn't put them away because she was little, but I put them away, and then when I dug them out to like display them again, she was old enough where she was able to like touch them, and I wasn't afraid she was gonna like run, run away with it, and she was always really careful with anything that we let her hold or whatever. We used to have this like bowl of glass fruit or whatever, and she always felt really big that she was allowed to touch it because we trusted her to like know that this is like something that's breakable. And so and she was always like really careful, and she felt like really big that we trusted her enough to let her hold that glass fruit. So she felt really big that I let her, hold my ceramics and stuff. And so she was always really careful with them. And so, but she loved that. She loved the mask or whatever. And then when she put it on her face, like it sort of blew my mind because it never fit mine. And so then I thought, how cool is that? Like, and so I said, you're the first person that's ever worn that mask because it never fit my face or whatever. Because I was in high school. So you're the first person that's ever had that on their face, and because it never fit my face. And so she just felt really big. And so luckily she was at the age where she wasn't gonna like run around with it or whatever, but it did get to the point where it's like she loved it so much that she did want to like put it on her face every single time she came over. And I thought, luckily she got out of it, but I was afraid that like she was going to get too excited and like run off with it or whatever, and it would break or like fall and break or whatever. But she was always really careful with it. But luckily it's still intact or whatever, in spite of like it's a wonder that this isn't something that got broken. But it hasn't. But as much as she handled it and like put it on her face all the time. But it was really cool to see that see it on somebody's face because it never fit mine. And then we had to make like light switch covers or whatever, and so this is like another random project of that woman's, and so we had to make these, and so I just made these like weird lights. I never use these or whatever, but I could if I wanted to, but I feel like they're a little too thick though to be light switch covers because they're supposed to be kind of thin. I don't even know if the screw would go all the way in if I actually use these as light switch covers, but it's just like a random project from her class, and so it has like gold and silver on it, and it's kind of pretty. It's little light switch covers. And then I did love the look of like the gold and the silver paint and stuff, and I did use that a lot in the stuff that I made in her class. But one of the things that we had to make was like a box of some kind. So it was, like, I made this in the first in my first teacher's class, like a little tiny box. But we had to make like some kind of like box with like a lid and like a big box. And so to go with my ridiculous videotape, I made a television, and of course I did. It's like obvious. Of course I would make this. I even made a remote to go with it. So it's just a hollow piece of ceramic, but it's like the little remote control for the TV. But this is the TV I made, and one of the antenna is broken off, and so I need to super glue that, and I still have it. It's like on the inside of here. But this is the TV that I made. See, I told you, like when I say I'm ridiculous, I'm not exaggerating. I exaggerate a lot in my videos sometimes when I like talk about going to Hobby Lobby looking for clearance run and stuff. But when I say I'm ridiculous, I'm not exaggerating. I made a freaking TV. Like of all the things that I could have made in a ceramics class, and just make a box. Like I could have made something else, but I made a freaking TV. And so like one of those old-fashioned kind of TVs too. Of course, this wasn't old-fashioned back then because this was in the early 2000s. But so I made like a TV. So that's the screen. It's not even a widescreen. No, because we never had a widescreen TV when we were growing up. And so and the little antenna part right up here is the handle that you on the lid. And so you just grab it from right here, and so it's the handle, and the little lid comes off. So that's a little handle. See how your hand can go in the underneath the antenna, and so that's the lid, and then of course the box here, and there's something in there that broke, and I need to fix this too. I think I have all the pieces in here too, but I made a picture frame, and I made it for my mom and dad. and the pictures upstairs in my pictures, but I do have the back of it with the little stand there, but it's a little warped now, I guess, just from over the years. But the pictures upstairs, it was a picture of my mom and dad, because before he died, he got cancer, and when I was in high school in my senior year, and they were having this local thing around here where if you donate to the fire department, they'll do a free like photo shoot of your family or whatever. And we bought, because my dad was going through cancer and stuff, and so we got these really nice family pictures done. And the picture that I put in this frame was of my mom and my dad from that session with the fire department. So this is what the frame looks like, and in the heart here has their names or whatever. But so this is the frame, and then up here in this corner is like a flower, and then coming from the flower is like these vines with all the leaves on it, and kind of like that. And then down here in this corner were like 2 gold rings that like to represent their wedding rings. And I do have the other pieces. I have the other pieces in this little envelope here. I need to get some super glue and super glue this all together someday. Oh, and there's the antenna for the TV. And the antenna for the snail is in one of those things up there. I need to put it in here. Those are my Whistles antennas, so they'll go in there too. But I'm really proud of that beautiful frame that I made. I do need to fix that and find that picture and put it all together and display it. But it's just a really pretty frame. Like, of all the things I made in her class, like this one, I mean the bottle and the goblet or whatever I'll show is kind of cool too. But this is like the one thing where I'm glad that I did use the paint, because there's no way I could have gotten these vivid colors and this beautiful frame with glaze. But still, I would prefer the look of the glaze. Maybe I would probably like this better, because I've painted things before, and I love the look of like the glossy finish on things, like with the glue all. I should like put glue all on all this stuff. No, I won't do that. I probably won't, because I don't want to. I'm the kind of person where if I make something and I'm happy with it, I'm not gonna like change it. But like I would probably like all this stuff better if it had like a little bit of a glossy finish on it. I think that's what's missing from it. The colors are fine. It's just like that glossiness that kind of adds like a sort of a finished look to all this. But I do love how this frame looked, and I just need to finish. I just need to take care of that and make sure no other pieces break off of it, and fix it one day. So I just have that in my television box or whatever. It's so ridiculous. Like, I wish they still made the TV guide or whatever. Like, this would be the perfect thing to house your TV guide. Like when you're not using the TV guide, like housing the TV guide and the remote, like the extra remote for something, or it would be like the perfect little like thing to go by your TV or whatever that has all that kind of stuff in it. But it's just a ridiculous box. Of course, I made a television, and it is a TV, so it needs a remote. So I did make a remote. I don't think that was part of the assignment. Make a box and make something like an accessory. No, I just made a remote, because I thought I can't have a TV without a remote. So stupid. And then this thing right here, I guess I'm happy with it. This is like the most big, like the most obnoxious thing. Like big, like obnoxious meaning like just big. We had to make like something really big. And I don't know if she meant like some kind of building or what. But like the assignment was to make like something sort of like oversized and big. And so I made this house, and it's not. This was back when I wasn't really talented in painting or whatever. I didn't really know like the different methods on how to paint properly. Because like nowadays I know about like you want to start with like a dark surface, and like especially with textures and stuff, you want to start with like a dark surface, and then you can like add the light colors to the top of it, and sort of bring out the lines, so you have like the darkness in the lines, and then you can like add the light to the top. And I didn't know anything about painting or whatever. Like I just realized that I could do ceramics and stuff, but I didn't really know how to like paint or anything. And so like the windows on this house are just like it's hideous. I mean I guess it's cool like to think of it as something like this is actually made out of clay, and it didn't like explode, and it's not in 48,000 pieces or whatever. It's a wonder. It's heavy as hell. It's a wonder this thing didn't explode in the kiln. But this is just like so big. This is the house that I made. I mean, this thing must weigh like 50 pounds. I'm exaggerating, but I mean, it's really heavy too. And so like let's see the windows. They're just, it's not painted very well. Like, and like I even remember when I was painting this, like I wasn't excited about this project. It was sort of like at the point where I just wasn't having as much fun in Ceramics C as I was in the other 2 years that I had it, or semesters, or I can't remember if it was like I'm sure it was a full year, or if it was a semester, but I wasn't having as much fun, and so I just sort of like half-assed painted the windows and stuff. I really didn't. Like, I almost, like, didn't really care. I mean, it's kind of cool to think that, like, I took, you know, a bunch of clay and made a freaking house, and it's, like, you know, it's nice and solid. I remember that, I never went to the mall to see it, but I think that they had some of the art and ceramics and stuff displayed in the mall. Back when they would let, you know, vendors in the middle of the mall. Nowadays there aren't even any people in the mall, let alone vendors or you know, like little areas to set up things in the middle of the mall. But I remember that there was like going to be some kind of display of like local art, and this ended up in the mall. I didn't even go to see it in the mall because I'm not really proud of this as much as I am of some of the other stuff. I mean, I'm proud of it as a feat, you know, as like you know I actually, you know, accomplished this without it exploding or completely deteriorating or falling apart or whatever. But it's obnoxious. And what's the most obnoxious thing about it is the back of it. I like the roof. The roof's kind of cool, like you know, carved into it, make little grooves. But in the back there's like all these vines and stuff, and I like took my pen or pencil or tool or whatever, and like, you know, drew vines and stuff, and made like leaves all over it. And I remember my teacher saying, you sure you want to just like put vines all over the back? And like, because I didn't really care about this that much, and so I lied and I said, you know, my aunt's house, like the entire back of her house is just covered with all these, you know, beautiful vines with leaves and stuff. It was a total lie. She didn't have any of that stuff all over her house. I just wanted to, I didn't want to make more windows because the ones on the front didn't turn out very well, and so I thought, like, I'm just gonna put vines on the back. I think that might look kind of cool, but whatever. And so that's what I put on the back. And so it was just like one of my sort of half-assed projects where I wasn't having as much fun in ceramics as I did the first 2 years, or semesters or whatever. But I did get a house out of it, even though it's just like kind of weird. And I probably could have done the windows and the doors and all that kind of stuff better, but you know, and it's gigantic. Like, is this like I made like a freaking mansion, like at least 2 levels or 3, because there's like a, you know, a slanted ceiling attic or whatever up there. But I don't know, it's just obnoxious. I bet if I weighed this, it would weigh more than, like, you know, at least 25 pounds. I mean, this is heavy as hell, but whatever. And so that was like, you know, probably the most like like literally ridiculous thing. I don't mean like ridiculous like, you know, I sort of, you know, use that word like it's in some sort of fun way, but that is utterly ridiculous. But I guess the last thing from Ceramics C was this bottle that I made with a goblet, and I did love the look of, like, you know, making flowers and vines and leaves and all that kind of stuff. So I made this bottle, and so like it's like gold, and then the little top or the stopper or whatever is a flower, and it's this really cool little topper, and then it has like all these, you know, vines with leaves on it, and the green on this is a little too dark, unless, you know, faded over the years, but I think it turned out really cool. So I made this, like, you know, bottle, and so it has to have a matching goblet, whatever. So I made a freaking goblet, and this too looks like something that would, you know, end up, you know, being discovered in some like ancient Egyptian pyramid or whatever. There was like, oh, that they some pharaoh or whatever used this, you know, ancient goblet. But it's utterly ridiculous. I mean, it's like a flower, like the goblet part, and then it has like all these rose petals on it. I mean, it is utterly ridiculous, but I mean, it's gorgeous too. And it has all these vines and stuff hanging off it. So it's sort of like a matching set. So like, you know, the bottle and the little goblet to go along with it. And but I don't know. I did end up with a lot of really creative things from Ceramics C or whatever. But so at the same time, I really loved the stuff that I made the first 2 years or semesters or whatever it was. It might have been semesters, I can't remember, but I just loved it so much. It felt like longer. I do love that I have all of my ceramics, and for the most part, they're, you know, still in good condition. I mean, there are a couple little things that have broken off over the years or whatever, but like for the most part, I mean, it's all like intact and everything, and so I'm really lucky in that aspect. And so then when I was thinking about my ceramics class and you know how much I loved it and everything, and I wanted to, you know, I had that urge to, like, you know, make things over the years after high school, and so I had gotten some air dry clay. I think this was like right when Hobby Lobby open here or something, but because I remember getting it in Hobby Lobby, like that air dry clay, and I made this little tiny. It looks like one of those things that you know ancient people would, you know, keep their water in and stuff. Like, I don't know, it looks like some, you know, ancient water jug or something. I don't know. It's just weird, but it's just like this little tiny thing. But the thing about this, it's air dry clay, and so I know it's more fragile than the kind that's fired in a. So I know it's more fragile than the kind that's fired in a kiln, and so I'm always afraid that like something's going to happen to this, even though it's just like this tiny little thing I don't really care about. But I did make this, you know, tiny little thing that has a little lid, and I painted it and stuff. But it was just like, I was just thinking about ceramics, and I think this was around the time when I got all my stuff out again, and thinking about how much fun I had in ceramics, and so I wanted to get some clay to try to, you know, make some things again or whatever. You know, I guess it turned out okay, but it just wasn't as fun because I just wasn't crazy about the air dry clay. I loved, you know, being in ceramics. It just wasn't exactly the same, but I did get, you know, this tiny little thing out of it. But anyway, so that's the stuff that's on this shelf. So when I talk about, you know, my ceramics, or I'll go like this on this shelf, you know, where my ceramics is, whatever. That's what it's on the shelf is all of my ceramic stuff, and I am really proud of all this stuff. I mean, to think that I made some of this stuff when I was like a teenager, and like there's some ridiculous things that are like, you know, some that it's just like, you know, basic stuff that you would think that a teenager would make, but like that video, I mean, this is just like unbelievable that I made this. I mean, I am really happy with this. I just can't believe that I made this. I mean, I'm really proud of myself that I made some of this stuff, and like the tree and I don't know. So that's why I love having my stuff displayed in here, even though it's supposed to be like a yarn room at this point. I do love having my creative stuff displayed in here, at least my ceramics. I've done other things too, but I am really proud of my ceramics, and I love that it has like a place in here. And that's why I wanted to, you know, kind of tie this to the ridiculous creative crochet room or yarn room or whatever you want to call it. It's more than a wall at this point. It's a room now, of course. So I wanted to, you know, do something crochet related to, you know, go with my ceramics, and so that's why I made this runner or whatever you want to call it. It's not really a doily because it's not like a circular thing or anything creative. It's just like, you know, a rectangle. But I thought, you know, I'll put it there and I'll put my ceramics on top of it and stuff. And so anyway, so I did make that, and I did finish my teacher's bookmark, and I'll get that to her sometime. At the end of this, I'll put shots of the ceramics back on the shelf, because it's going to take me a while to put it back on the shelf. I need to dust. Like, I moved all that stuff, and there's all kinds of dust there. But I need to, like, dust that shelf, and so I'll put, like, little insert shots of, like, all this displayed, and with the runner underneath it and everything. And then I'll show the bookmark, what it looks like with the little charm on it. And I'll eventually send that to her too. I want to write up a nice note and tell her how important ceramics was to me, and the whole experience did kind of like make me think of my creativity in a different way, because like I always thought of myself as a writer. I always thought I knew who I was as a creative person, and like maybe not consciously back then in high school, but you know, going through all that and creating all this stuff with clay or whatever, and especially reflecting on it, it just felt like you know, my ceramics class really showed me that that there is no limit to our creativity, and if we think of ourselves in like a very specific way of like, oh, this is what I'm good at, I'm creative, I'm a painter, and that's it, I'm just going to paint. This whole ceramics experience kind of showed me that there's no limit to our creativity, and if we're a creative person, if we're inherently creative, we are kind of like chameleons, and we need to, you know, understand that, and you know, kind of branch out, you know, expand our creativity into other things, just to see that you may be shocked. because like I'll be listening to a song and I'll it's like I can hear notes that aren't there. It's like I can hear where I feel like a note should be, where a note should go, where a certain part of a song should go. I know I have an ear for music. I love music. I've loved music my entire life, and it's just been a huge part of my life. And I know inside I have this ability to know how a song should go, or how I've actually written a couple songs that they're like little kid songs or whatever. I'm going to use in something in the future or whatever. They're ridiculous, but at the same time I recognize that like I actually wrote that song. It actually sounds really good. Like little tiny kid songs or whatever. But like, I know that I have this musical ability or whatever. I can't sing for worth a damn. What I like to say is like, I'm more of a, I'm not really a singer. I'm more of a carry a tuner. I can carry a tune, but I'm not really a singer. But like, I bet if I didn't have an obnoxious voice and actually nurtured my voice or whatever, and actually took like, you know, vocal lessons or whatever, I probably could become a singer, or at least, you know, like be able to write songs. I do have that ability in me to know where music should go. Like, it's even embarrassing for me to say this, but it's at the end of the video, so it's not like hardly anybody's watching this anyway. But there have been times where I'll be listening to music or whatever, and it'd be like a song I maybe know or I maybe don't know, and I'll be like by myself in the house, just kind of like, you know, puttering around or whatever, cleaning, you know, organizing stuff or whatever, and I'll kind of like, you know, sing along, even though I don't know any of the words, and I'll actually like sing all these harmonies, and later on I'm thinking, I wish I would have recorded that, because not, you know, because I wanted to, you know, create a cover or like, but I've thought many times like I wish I would have recorded that, and not because I wanted to like listen to my cringy ass singing or whatever. I'm not like singing like, you know, oh, I'm not like singing like that, but I'm like, you know, sort of singing myself, and I sort of like make up all these harmonies and stuff, and I'm thinking that actually sounded good. It actually sounded in harmony with the music, and I recognize that I do have musical ability. I'm not stuttering ass or whatever, has musical ability. I recognize that, and but I've just never really nurtured that, and I probably wouldn't nurture that, except to like, you know, write little kid songs for some of the stuff that's coming in the future. Wait for that. You think I'm ridiculous now? Wait till you meet some characters that I've come up with. But whatever, and they're singing. Some of them can actually sing better than I do, but whatever, you'll find out. But what I mean is just like, if you're a creative person, don't ever like, you know, pigeonhole yourself or think of yourself as just like creative in one thing, because if you're a creative person, for some reason we just have this ability to like kind of be like chameleons and, you know, pick up other things that we never thought we would ever be creative in, and actually excel in it and succeed in it. And like, I never thought that I could make all this stuff, but like looking back on it now, it's like, you know, this is sort of like a representation of like, wow, I'm not just a writer. I'm not just this. I'm not just. I can be other things. I can, you know, use this creative ability, this creative talent that I have. And I don't mean this in a narcissistic way. But like, I do recognize that I'm creative to the point of it being ridiculous. But I do have this ability to be creative in things, and so. And so knowing that I, you know, can apply that ability to be creative to something that I never expected to, it sort of allows you to kind of like look at that. Like I walk through Hobby Lobby every freaking day while I go in there looking for clearance yarn. I'll walk through there and I'll see something, and like for the most part, like, you know, back, you know, when I was growing up, I'd probably just pass by and think, oh, that there's something that, you know, somebody does, or, you know, there's some tiles, or there's, you know, this kind of medium. Like I would never really look at it and think, oh, I could do that. But now it's like I go through there and like inside, I'm thinking, if that seemed like something that I was interested in, I could probably do that. I could probably use my creativity, this ability that I have, that I can apply to all kinds of, you know, mediums that I never thought I would be able to use, and I could probably do that. I could probably create. I'm staring at that thing that woman that my mom knows made with the stained glass. Like I never thought I would ever work with stained glass or anything. I never you know, imagined myself doing that. But I bet I could do that. I go through that aisle, and I've gone through that aisle before. I'm looking for things to give that woman, like some stained glass things, and I look at all this stuff there, and like I don't really have an interest in making stained glass, but I'm like, I bet I probably could if I, you know, I have that creative ability in me to, you know, come up with things to make with stained glass, but I'm just not really interested in that. But like going through the store now, going through Hobby Lobby, you know, probably going through aisles, you know, waiting for the yarn to get clearanced. You know, going through the aisles in Hobby Lobby and looking at all that stuff. It's like knowing that we can be like inherently creative people, and that we can apply our creativity to all kinds of things, and you know, be creative in all kinds of different things. it's a whole different experience of going through Hobby Lobby, or like any kind of craft aisle or a craft store or anything, because it's like everything on the aisles is like a possibility. You know, it's not like, oh, this is something that somebody else does. This is something somebody else does. I'm not really interested in that. I don't really do that. I just do this. Like going through there now, like knowing that you're an inherently creative person. It's like there's all kinds of opportunities. There's all kinds of like I could probably do that if I wanted to, or that might be something I could be successful in. I don't know. I may try that, but you know, it may not work or whatever. But I can at least try, or I might have some good ideas for somebody that, you know, or other. It's like, kind of like it's just like a really powerful thing to walk through there and have this self-awareness and realization about yourself and your creativity, and knowing that, like, if I really applied myself and the way I do with all the other creative things that I do, I could probably be successful in at least creating some things or making something out of some of this other stuff in this store or whatever. So that's the only reason why I thought to, you know, show all this stuff, because I'm really proud of all these ceramics that I made and stuff, and they just all kind of represent to myself, you know, like, never limit my creativity, because I never thought I would ever, you know, have a shelf of like ceramics that I made. You know, it's always like, oh, that thing that, you know, somebody did in that movie, or like Ghost, or, you know, that thing that, you know Phoebe's mom did when she went to the beach and, you know, found out, you know, she had a birth mom, or like it was always like, you know, that thing that people did in movies, or like ceramics or whatever, like, you know, working with clay, or but I have a lot of that stuff. It's weird. And so all I'm saying here at the end is just, like, if you're a creative person, if you're an inherently creative person, just, you know, don't limit yourself. Just know that you can take that creativity inside of you and create all kinds of things that you never thought you would ever be able to create, because we're just inherently creative. And I probably said it like 50 times. God, so repetitive. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, this long-winded video where I was talking about all this ceramics and stuff. But I am really proud of it. I'm glad I showed it off. Where it's not like this thing that I just keep talking about, like, this thing that's in this room. I'm glad I got to show it off or whatever, and hopefully it'll look all nice how I displayed it. I'm sure I put insert shots of how it looks displayed with the nice runner and all that kind of stuff. And but anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit of a departure from like my other videos and stuff, but not really, because I am sort of all over the place and all that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, if you're still watching here at the end, I wanted to give you a little bonus clip if you actually watched through this entire video, this rambly, all over the place video got. I wanted to put a little thing here at the end. I think I teased it earlier on in the video, but there's a part of my home movies where we're in our old house and my mom was filming me, and I was on my living room floor and I was showing my ceramics. It was like the first 3 or 4 things that I made, and I thought you might find that interesting. It's from a little clip from our home movies, and who I'm talking to is my grandmother, because like my grandmother's the one that gave and my grandfather gave us our first video camera, and so like all of our home movies are kind of geared towards like, oh, showing my grandmother or my grandfather the stuff, or like showing them our house, or like, you know, filming it for them. So that's sort of like, you know, why I was like filming my ceramics or whatever, like, you know, showing it to them who we would send the videos to, and so that is the video of like me on my living room floor showing the few things, and my mom like filming me or whatever. And so I just thought, you know, I put that here at the end if you actually watch this video and stuff, and I just thought you might find that interesting to see, you know, what my ridiculous ass looked like a long time ago, showing off my ceramics and stuff. But anyway, enjoy this clip from my home movies. I look ridiculous, God.
I can't think. Okay, man, I'm gonna start cracking up. Just wait a minute. Just turn it off for a few minutes.
All right, wait a second. I'm not recording.
Yes, you are.
No.
You record. Stop. Okay. Are you getting ready to record it?
Mm-hmm.
You are.
I'm ready.
Yeah, you've been ready. Okay. I just wanted to show you what I did in ceramics class. This is my coil pot. This is my pinch pot, and this is my footed pot.
So in other words, you're making pot while you're at school.
Yeah. And my teacher calls us potheads.